he said it multiple times. He said it after the season. He said it at the combine. It was very clear as day. If you listened carefully to what he's saying, he doesn't like the way the offensive line room was. And guess what he's done?
All right, so
I can't because we got another offensive lineman, so there's something to live for.
Yeah, there is something.
I mean, it's Laken Tomlinson. You're basically shuffling a deck. You're hoping these guys are better than those guys.
Yeah, right.
These are not massive on paper. They're not massive upgrades. You're just like, well, maybe this guy is better than that guy. Maybe Laken's better than Shaq. He's cheaper, so okay. Well,
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, we'll see. There was okay. We got some sound, and what do you think? So the Eagles acquired Kenyon Green, right? Mm-hmm. Because Mekhi Becton is probably out. He wants too much money, and I was listening to McAfee had A.Q. Shipley on. Del, we got the sound of this, and A.Q. Shipley said, "Well, here's the deal. Mekhi Becton was really good. Now, but his first 3 years, he wasn't very good. So the question is." But with a great offensive line coach like they have in Philadelphia, is this the guy you're going to get? And plus, with the contract that Fry's got and other guys have gotten this offseason, the dude's probably asking for too much money. Mm-hmm. But then then Pat McAfee had this question for A.Q. Shipley.
The thought of who would be in the market, I was just asking a room here, scanning the room, who would be in the market for Mekhi Becton? Who?
If I'm Houston, I go get him right now.
Okay.
Houston clearly has made the moves to go get skill, right? But they've unloaded their entire offensive line. They've gotten rid of Laremy Tunsil. They got rid of Shaq Mason. They got rid of Green, the former first rounder, who they obviously sent to Philadelphia in the trade, right? They've bolstered areas of their team skill wise with C.J. Stroud, obviously Mixon, and they went and got Christian Kirk. Like, they have skill galore, but we all have seen it. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't win games, guys.
So Mekhi, he's going to be too expensive.
How does he think we're getting him?
Huh?
Right. I get it. Like, all these guys aren't paying attention to cap numbers. It's understandable. He just doesn't know there is no money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a cool discussion, but there's no money.
Yeah, I don't see how they. I mean. Especially on a longer-term contract. Maybe as the free agent season goes on and he's asking for too much money, maybe by the end of, he's going to go, well, I'll take less. Maybe I'll take a year. Maybe I'll go for just a year.
Yeah, but it's still going to be a year at like 14.
Yeah.
It's still going to be more than you have.
Yeah, right. It's probably, but it sure would be nice to get. And, they picked up Laken Tomlinson, and you just think he's just a guy. He's all right.
He's all right.
He's all right.
You just wanted to play better than Shaq Mason. That's all. He costs less, so he's okay.
And obviously D'Amico knows him. But you know what? Sometimes it's that the familiarity isn't always the great thing.
No, because sometimes you lean on that more heavily than the tape, but. They wanted to get, D'Amico knows how he's wired, and that's a big thing to D'Amico right now. So D'Amico knows, he probably knows. Now, he's on the defense side of the ball. And to be honest with you, defense and offense really don't crisscross that much. Like, you'd be surprised. I remember talking to my dad about the Steelers. And there's a lot of guys he just, you hear secondhand stuff from other coaches, but you really don't have that access.
You do see them in practice and how hard they practice and one-on-ones and all of that stuff. You can see that. You're like if they go directly against the unit, coaching, stuff like that. But I would say that coaches talk.
He probably,
this guy's a dog. That guy's a
sure. And I think he probably knows Laken Tomlinson's probably got the personality he wants. More likely. That's why he brings him in. I don't think it's because he's overly talented. He's got some limitations, but D'Amico wants to get his room right mentally. He wants the mentality to be right. He really doesn't want a bunch of guys with designer jeans on, carrying their bags with them, their Louis bags into practice, and making sure they have a $500 T-shirt on and $700 designer shoes. He wants He wants ball to be your thing. You want to dress nice when you're going out? That's fine. If your whole thing is about making sure that your fashion game is up, that's really not for offensive linemen. Sorry to break it to you, but there's not a bunch of offensive linemen who think their whole job is to be in physical fist fights the entire game.
Yeah,
it ain't to be pretty.
You want a lunch pail guy?
Yeah, I mean that's really that's really what it is. And I mean, it doesn't make you not a good player, but the mentality. D'Amico told you he didn't like the mentality.
Yeah,
I mean, if you listen to him, he just told you we gotta get different in the. He said it multiple times. He said it after the season. He said it at the combine. It was very clear as day. If you listened carefully to what he's saying, he doesn't like the way the offensive line room was. And guess what he's done? Kenyon had to go. Kenyon had no. I saw somebody. Well, he's a former first. We gave up on him too early.
Oh no,
gave up.
No, we didn't.
He was terrible the first year. He didn't play the second year, and the third year he wasn't playing well. Then got hurt for most of the year. Then came back and they wouldn't even play him.
No.
Despite injuries, like you can give up on him too fast. He's got 3 years.
Despite injuries and poor play.
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
So Albert Breer in Sports Illustrated wrote an article about the trade, about what it means for Washington. And then he had this to say. The second question is what happened with Tunsil that made him expendable. Tunsil, to be clear, is well-liked in the Texans building. That said, he isn't a tone setter, and the offensive line room in Houston last year went the wrong way, becoming borderline toxic, which adds context to the trade of Kenyon Green and the release of Shaq Mason. Mm-hmm. That's part of why the Texans figured they probably wouldn't give him a third top-of-the-market extension in 2026 after having paid him in 20 and again in 23. I mean, the word is starting to leak out. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now. Mm-hmm. A little pat on the back for you, bringing it to the table a while ago. You predicted the Shaq Mason release. You predicted the trade of Laremy Tunsil because of information that you had in that locker room, and how D'Amico and listen, just listening to D'Amico and CJ. And guys in that room that never mentioned Laremy Tunsil and how what a problem the offensive line was, and how they want and how D'Amico wants dogs, and just ain't dogs. And so I mean, reading
and
between,
not blocking well.
Yeah, that too.